Colin Russo with ESPN West Palm here with our BDB Business Interview of the Month. We're joined now by Dr. Mark Mestre, who's the Senior VP, the Chief Clinical Operations Officer for the Nicklaus Children's Health System based in Miami. Dr. Mark, I appreciate you joining us today. How are you doing today?
It's great. Thank you for having me here. It's an honor.
So Mark, kind of give me a little bit of a rundown of how this started for you. How did you get involved with the Nicklaus Children's Health System, just as you are today?
Love to tell that story. So I grew up born and raised in Miami, about 2 miles from the hospital. And my father was a physician, a general practice physician, and his practice was actually a mile away from the hospital. So always around the vicinity of the hospital, and always remember back then, the hospital was called Variety Children's Hospital, and then went through another iteration called Miami Children's, and then through the generous donation of the Nicklaus family. And in 2015, we changed over to Nicklaus Children's Hospital and Nicklaus Children's Health System. For me personally, I went to medical school at the University of Florida, undergrad at the University of Miami.
So hold on. Yeah, how does that? Come on.
A little tough.
What allegiance do we lie here, doctor?
Always the Canes.
Always the Canes. So did you tell anybody when you were at UF that you went to Miami? Did you have to keep that sort of under wraps? I mean, how did that go?
No doubt. It's still a funny story. My daughter is actually at the University of Florida now.
Wow, you lost that battle. Wow, how about that?
Tough one to lose. But even when I go into a game with her, I just can't put on the Florida Gator jersey. I can't do it.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, but how did she do? I'm sure she wanted to get maybe shift to another spot in Florida. She was born and raised in Miami.
It's a great school, and you can't take that away from them. And it's a fantastic school, and she's doing great there.
So this stayed locally for you. Did you stay in Miami your whole career?
Yeah, so I went from Miami to the University of Florida for medical school, and then I actually went up to UNC in Chapel Hill for my residency program. Did my training, worked there for a little bit, and then my wife, who's also a pediatrician, we had our first daughter and said, hey, we want a baby back home in Miami, and I got my first job at Nicklaus Children's. It was Miami Children's at the time, and
wow.
I've been there now for 20 years.
How about that?
So which is fantastic.
You can't draw it up better than that in terms of finding your home that early.
It is.
And for the listeners who are listening right now who don't know really what Nicklaus Children's offers the community, could you give them a little bit of a sense of the type of thing that they could expect with Nicklaus Children's Health System?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it. It's from our standpoint at Nicklaus Children's, and back when I came, it's evolved so much over 20 years. Right now, we're the largest specialty children's hospital in the state of Florida. The only licensed children's hospital, specialty children's hospital in the region, which makes it special. Everything we do is surrounded around the child and the family, and not any other health system can say that in South Florida. So what we do is provide services all the way down from Homestead, all the way up to Stewart County, and then west to Collier County. So we provide services all throughout the area. In those areas, we do specialty care, which involve from the most complex brain surgery that you can imagine, cardiac surgery that you can imagine, to the very simple pediatric visits that you are accustomed to taking your child to, immunizations, well-child visits. So we provide the gamut of services throughout all those areas.
Interesting. And so you mentioned the growth. You mentioned how basically it was Miami's back 20 years ago. You've seen sort of the beginning, the middle, the end in terms of your career and where it is today.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about that growth in terms of how Nicklaus Children's has expanded, or whether they've centered in on what more specifically they want to touch on.
Yeah.
What has that looked like over the past, 20 years for your career?
Yeah, no doubt. So when I first got there, we were really contained within the four walls of the hospital, really providing good services within those areas. But then we slowly but surely started expanding and having urgent cares all around the city of Miami, which slowly expanded going into Broward County and into Palm Beach, and even further down south to Homestead. So we wanted to provide services where the children live, and make sure that those services were available to them. And now, even up here in Palm Beach County, what we do is provide specialty services. That was one of the things when the Nicklaus family wanted to get involved with us. They said there is not enough pediatric services here in the Palm Beach County. And what we did, we committed to that and said, hey, we're going to expand our services to be able to do what's needed, even if it's 90 miles from Miami, from our main campus, and able to provide those services. So we provide specialty services up here like cardiology, neurology, anything you can imagine that we provide here.
I guess that's interesting because you think about it, Miami is sort of its own little area.
It is.
In retrospect, considering the amount of expansion that South Florida has really seen,
Right.
you got the Palm Beach County area, even up towards like the Martin County area, but the Palm Beach County right here, then you sort of get into Boca, and then you get the Fort Lauderdales and Miamis. That's a big amount of ground really to cover,
It is.
especially nowadays with just the influx of people that are coming into this area, and to know that there's not only a children's health system that's locally serviced, but it's also covering that expanded of a range. I feel like that's pretty. Is that common in something like this in terms of that wide of an area?
Yeah, it's you'll see more children's hospitals consolidate care and making sure that we're able to provide the best care. You don't want to spread out the talent too much in terms of
Right.
the physicians that are needed. So we want to have that center of care for the patients and be able to provide it over a large area because it's needed. Right, there is a dearth of pediatric physicians that are going into practices now, especially in the specialty areas. So we want to be able to provide that for the families, but most importantly, we want to keep the families where they are unless they need to come down to Miami for those large, complex specialty procedures that they need, and mainly keeping the families close to home. And that's most important to us because we all know that that's incredibly important, the family support needed for a child to get better, be it in the hospital or in the clinic setting. And most recently, we've had the most exciting development in Broward County is now we are going to be affiliated with Broward Health and taking over their pediatric services within their hospital in the North Broward District, which is really exciting. It's able to provide, obviously, pediatric care for the children in Broward County, but also for those individuals that are in Palm Beach County that might not have a hospital close to them. It's in North Broward County where we can also provide those specialty services for them.
Dr. Mark Mestre, the Senior VP and Chief Clinical Operations Officer for the Nicklaus Children's Health System, with us now for our BDB Business Interview of the Month on ESPN 106.3. You mentioned the expansion. So it was to my understanding that there was a lot of collaboration with the Nicklaus Children's, and I guess across South Florida, that was included in what you're talking about with the Broward expansion?
That's right. Yeah, and we collaborated with the Broward Health team, which has been fantastic. They understood the value that Nicklaus Children's and our brand and our doctors bring to the care for patients. And they said, why are we doing this ourselves? Why do we think that it's better to do it that way? Why not partner with a brand like Nicklaus Children's, who has the quality of physicians that we have, in order to deliver the best care to the patients here? We want to keep the kids, again, where they are coming from, in their local communities, and only have those specialty surgeries or procedures that are needed have it happen down in Miami. And that's one thing that's a little unique here that we see is you'll see folks a little hesitant to cross county lines when
Really?
to
I guess,
get
yeah.
services.
Stay
So
local, huh?
they want to stay local, which is natural, and we want to be able to provide those services and partner with our community hospitals in order to be able to do that.
And there's a partnership with FIU.
Yeah, that's been really exciting. That's the other exciting partnership that I wanted to talk about was with FIU, our affiliation with their medical school.
Mm.
So we've always FIU Medical School has been around for 15 years, and we've partnered with them in order to educate their students. But now there's a larger affiliation with our faculty, our physicians, in order to being part of FIU and being part of that academic endeavors that are going on with FIU. And probably the most exciting part for me as well, besides the academics and teaching their students, which we need to do, and make sure that we have a pipeline of physicians that are coming. Part of the other exciting thing is the research that's offered being affiliated with the university.
Well, research is, again, it's interesting because research, that's thrown around a lot
Right.
in the medical fields because talk about research, it's broad. It could go in 100 different directions.
100%.
And is that sort of, I guess, the beauty behind it is there is 100 different directions that you can kind of center in this research. But can you expand a little bit more upon this research and why people in South Florida, families in South Florida, should be paying attention to the Nicklaus Children's health systems?
So I always say research, as you said, it has multiple components to it. One of the best things about it, it's going to improve the care that we're able to provide for our children and families in our area. Our philosophy is that no child should ever have to leave South Florida to get care. We should be able to provide all the latest and advancements in care for those patients with the latest technology. So a couple things with the research that's affiliated with universities, be it in a lab or whatnot, those are typically offered in the university settings, and that partnership with FIU has already allowed us to recruit very top talent who wants to continue to do research. So that's the second component of it. Not only doing the research, but now you're able to attract that talent that not only wants to do clinical care, but wants to perform research. So by doing so, with so much of an influx into the South Florida area, I think we're in a great position in order to advance ourselves and be one of the top tier children's hospitals in the country.
Was there a look ahead process thinking that, all right, South Florida's booming and a lot of people are coming down here, a lot of families are coming down here? Even 10 years ago, people probably couldn't have even have expected the amount of just the sheer numbers that have come in.
Yep.
Was that something that the hospital and the health system is really prepared for, almost thinking that there's going to be a lot more opportunities, of course, but also a lot more ground to cover, knowing that there's going to be so many more people, whether in Palm Beach County, Broward County, down in Miami, the whole thing. So was that something that you guys prepared for, let's say 5, 10 years ago?
100%. We always have our 5-year strategic plan, 10-year strategic plan in terms of what's going to come down the pipe, and be ready for that. What we have always said is, how do we be ready for whatever the changes are? One of the things that we've seen is in terms of there are decreased birth rates across the country, but in Florida, yes, there are decreased birth rates, but there's more of an influx of those folks coming in, so it kind of evens out in terms of the child population that's in South Florida. So for us, we're ready for that, and we want to continue to expand. And even from a philanthropy standpoint, folks that are moving down here, we always see that as a opportunity to get them more involved with the hospital.
Declining birth rates, that's something obviously that you guys have to pay attention to.
100%.
Is that going to be a recurring theme? Is that going to continue? What's your perspective on that? And I guess countrywide and also in South Florida.
Yeah, we always keep a close eye on it. And in terms of what types of care that we're going to do for certain patients, if you're going to have a decrease in birth rate, does it mean that for the neonatal population, those little babies, that market might not be as large, but you might see more of an influx of children that are a little bit older. So how do you target that population? So we always have our typically we do a 5-10 year outlook and seeing, okay, how do we adjust this based on the needs of the population? And we do a special assessment needs of our community all the way down from Miami-Dade County all the way up to Palm Beach County, and seeing what are those needs that we need to be that children's hospital that serves.
Interesting. And so most of us, we've talked about it, your expansion to Palm Beach County, your Broward County, Miami. Where, if you're listening in Palm Beach County, where can people find you guys?
Yeah.
I mean, where are the different places that they can go to get services or care?
Yeah, so main areas are going to be in Palm Beach Gardens, where we have our urgent care center, but also have some specialty practice there that includes our cardiologists, our neurologists, orthopedics, which are our big kind of practices that we have that offer specialty care. And then also down in Boynton Beach, we're able to offer those services there for our patient population, mostly with specialty care, gastroenterologists, allergists, those types of physicians that it's your general pediatrician in your local area is going to be able to maintain your general care. But if you ever need that specialist, we're able to offer those services in that area. And going back to what I said earlier, now being able to provide services as soon in 2026 at Broward Health, we're going to be able to offer some hospital-type services there as well. And we also provide services at Jupiter Medical Center with our physician team there.
Now, Dr. Mestre, one thing that's interesting about your career is, you found that one place, you found Nicklaus Children's, but you're also a former athlete. At University of Miami, you were a baseball player.
Much time ago.
Still, you got to remember it. So compare and contrast that for me a little bit. I mean, being an athlete, is it different? Are there similarities? I mean, I don't know many former high-level baseball players that went into pediatrics or went into the medical field. So tell me a little bit about that and the comparisons and contrasts of where that sort of went.
Sure, yeah. I love my team, or our team gets a little sick of me making the sports references because I love it. I'm a sports fanatic, but I do think there's so much to learn from sports, and especially when it comes to team play. And when we talk about our administrative team and what we need to do to serve our community and our physicians, I always come back to it. What does it mean to be part of a team? It's bigger than you. You got to come in there. And one of the things, if you ask our valet driver when you come in. You ask our security guard, obviously our physicians, what do we here? What do you do here? It's like we take care of kids, and that's our main focus. And for me, I'll have pictures up of our old teams of the University of Miami, not because I was a stud athlete or anything, but more to emphasize what does it mean to be a team member? What does it mean to participate in a team? It's not just about you. My favorite line, it's not about the name on the back of the jersey. It's about the name on the front of the
That's
jersey.
a classic. Wow. Oh, my goodness.
So,
That's a classic sports line right there. That's Herb Brooks, Miracle on Ice.
No doubt. So, I try to make that analogy in sports. We have our name on our left side of our white coats and the emblem on the right. And I said, it's not about the name on the left. It's about that name on the right.
Wow. And does that resonates, I got to imagine, because I feel like everybody at least has some sort of connection. You probably have those people that you work with that just have no idea anything about sports, but I'm sure you have people that have sports connections, either grew up playing sports, grew up a fan of sports. So it has to resonate because you're right. The team principle around it all is really the backbone of how, I guess, American society operates at a working level, right?
100%. And when it comes to the most important thing, taking care of your kids, you got to be operating at a level that's the highest level. And for me, going back to sports, you practice until you get it right. And then you keep on practicing until you don't get it wrong. So those are that mentality that we try to instill, at least on our team, in terms of how do we approach things and how to go about it.
And you were on the 1996 Miami Hurricanes baseball team that famously lost, what was it, LSU that year?
LSU. Why'd you have to bring that up? That still hurts.
We got to rain on a parade eventually. And so you've been in a number of big games, and of course Alex Cora was one of the famed teammates that you had throughout your career at Miami.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about those College World Series experiences, because not every person could say they've been a part of College World Series rosters at a high level such as yours. Tell me a bit about that experience.
It was a great experience. It's something that we still, 30 years later, have a group text chat among the players.
Can you laugh about that loss now, or does it still sting?
It still stings. Even 30 years later, you think you're grown men now. You can get over it, but it still stings. And I still keep in touch with. He's up in Vero Beach now. Coach Jim Morris, who was our manager at the time. And J.D. Arteaga, who's the head coach of the Hurricanes now, still good friends. And, like you said, Alex Cora. I look up to all these guys. These guys are guys that I learned from as an athlete, as a friend, and somebody that all these guys still inspire me. And I laugh with them and able to do that. And even then, bringing in that attitude in sports is like, hey, we can laugh together. We can make fun of each other. It's okay. We can give that feedback and build upon it so we can get better. So they've taught me so much, and I'm fortunate to have them as friends.
Stinging, for those who don't know, 1996 LSU Miami, 9-8 final score. Warren Morris hit a home run to win the game. Two-run home run. I believe it was 2 outs.
2 outs, bottom of the ninth, and we had our best guy on the mound, and he threw a great pitch, and he hit it out, and I've never heard a stadium that loud. As many people know, Miami is many times not the favorite team.
No, of course, especially in the 90s.
Especially in the 90s, going to Nebraska when we had beat the Cornhuskers plenty of times. But
I was in Omaha too, right?
Oh
my
Nebraska.
gosh!
Yeah.
Oh, you're the most hated team there. Yeah, I didn't walk with a police escort to the buses. Oh my goodness!
But they are great. The fans are great.
Yeah, they are great out there.
Even just an experience I'll never forget. And luckily, teams after us won a couple national championships there. So just having that brotherhood of being within the University of Miami baseball team, I bleed orange and green, no matter what schools I go to. But it was a great experience that I wouldn't trade for the world, even though I was a mop guy, didn't play much. But just the experience.
Part of the team.
Yeah, part of the team. And that's what I try to emphasize, myself, even currently. Saying, hey, everybody's part of the team. No matter who you are, you contribute to this.
And you're a Miami football fan?
Yep.
So what's your all right? Let me get a temperature check there because last year you had a Heisman hopeful, and Cam Ward at quarterback, and Mario Cristobal's did a good job of getting talent in there. Yeah. But it's the ACC. People don't take the ACC seriously. Miami had a terrible loss to, I believe, to Syracuse at the end of the year that got them out of the playoff run. What's your takeaway on this team coming in this year? They got Carson Beck, the kid from Georgia, that's going to be starting at quarterback. So you think Miami's in tune for another good year, or is this going to be Miami still needs to find a way to take that next step?
I think they need to take that next step, and it's hard to get back to the old Miami. I think
you can't. Yeah, people always love bringing that up. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. It's like Nebraska saying Nebraska's trying to get back to the '95 team, the Tommy Frazier days. It's not going to happen like that just overnight.
100%, and that's where we try to, have realistic expectations. We even on the group chat, with our former teammates, we're also high at the beginning of the year, but also understand you got to be realistic.
You got to make the playoff. That's the idea.
Exactly. If you get in the playoff and you're in that consideration until the last week, it's a good season.
Are you Miami through and through professionally? Dolphins, Marlins, Heat?
Yeah. I always loved the Miami teams. I grew up, back then when I was growing up, in late 70s, early 80s, Steelers were great, so I was always a Steelers fan back then. But now switch the allegiances down.
And then once the Dolphins got pretty good in the mid 80s, then we hopped back over with Marino. Is that what happened? Wow.
Didn't get that Super Bowl. But
no,
waiting for that.
Marino was an all-time. So how about this? Well, let's do Dolphins really quick. That's a team that sort of is in flux. Miami is, of course, having their ups and downs, but the Dolphins, we're still trying to figure out what that team is.
Yeah,
and they've had tough injury luck, especially at the quarterback position. They've had big personalities in and out of the locker room. Give me your temperature check of Miami Dolphins. Are we in store for another rough year, or could they kind of recapture that magic they had 2-3 years ago?
The East is pretty open. The AFC East is open.
That second team is open. Buffalo's going to be good.
Buffalo's always good. That's right. In terms of hopefully getting into a wild card. But it's a lot of it depends on Tua's health, right? If he's healthy, then
you need 16, 17 games out of him. You can't get 13. They have stunk without him, so you can't get 12 games out of him.
Yep, you gotta go for the full 16, 17 games, and if you do that, that's a big if. Then you can be competitive. But it's always hard because once they get into December, January, and playing in the cold weather, they haven't done so well.
No, and wild card game means you're playing on the road, and there's not a lot of great South AFC teams that you'd be going to. You'd be going to the Baltimores of the world, the Kansas City. We know what Kansas City looks like with Miami when they played that godforsaken, minus 35-degree game. You're playing all those different teams. It's a tough spot. Not a lot of domes. Not a lot of domes
in the AFC. So. We'll see. They do have a little bit of a deeper bench on the quarterback position now with
the Quinn Ewers is in there.
Quinn Ewers and the quarterback
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. They were able to pick up, so a little bit deeper bench if he were to get hurt, but you still need him to be in there for 16, 17 games.
Are you a pro Mike McDaniel guy?
I like his approach to things. A little bit off the field stuff. What he's overcome to get to where he is. I like that part.
You got to respect that.
You got to respect that. And I'm not so much of the the outfits and.
Yeah. Last thing here with Alex Cora with the Boston Red Sox. Are you a Red Sox guy?
Oh man, yeah.
So you do Red Sox. It's hard to root for the Marlins these days,
but they're doing well. Given the consideration for what they
and
they have.
I wanted to bring up too. You mentioned you were in Miami in the 92-96 era.
Yeah.
The Marlins soon after that, they won 97 and they won again in 03.
In 03, right.
That was the Gary Sheffield team. They had some good players on those teams, and the surprise. Absolutely.
Local guy.
And so that was you got to be Marlins then, and then you sort of when Cora got his heyday. Were you rooting for the Astros when they won in 2017? I hate to bring this up, but I got to bring it in. So you were rooting for the Astros in 2017.
Of course.
But now you're a Red Sox guy through.
No, Red Sox. I mean, mainly for Alex. Wherever Alex goes, I'm going to be cheering for them. But the Red Sox, always going there. And Alex is so great and so gracious. Anytime we go up to Boston, he's always welcoming us and our family.
All right, last question here. Of the Miami professional teams, I'm going to leave it to the main. Are you a Florida Panthers fan? We're going to exclude them because it's too easy. You're on the bandwagon. Too easy of an answer.
Right.
Of the Marlins, Heat, and Dolphins, who do you have the most confidence in, let's say, in the next 3 years?
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, man.
They're all sort of in the same spot.
No, I'm always going to have to bet on the Heat. The Heat can always sometimes figure things out. and then I'd got to go with the Dolphins and then Marlins.
Yeah.
In that order probably. The Marlins, I just hopefully
They don't spend any money.
We get more investment in the team, and they can deliver. But
Baseball need a salary cap.
Oof. I don't know. I don't know the economics of it, but with the Dodgers spending the money they're spending, it's tough to compete against.
You know what I think they need? They need a salary cap and a floor. So you can I'm an Oakland Athletics fan. I know exactly what you're talking about. They're playing in a AAA ballpark in Sacramento, California. I know exactly what you're talking about. So you talk about investment. They're good.
They got some talent.
They got young players, but they're going to be traded away at the deadline to the Yankees in 2027. Let's not kid ourselves, Doctor. And so Miami's dealing with the same thing. I would see what happens in the next 2 days. They're going to be trading a couple of players.
100%.
So salary floor, make teams pay, and then salary cap, don't let the Dodgers spend $5 billion a year.
That's right.
That's how you fix baseball in my position.
That's a lot easier. Yeah.
But, Doctor, we appreciate you giving us the time. We appreciate you giving us a little bit of a rundown on what's happening with Nicklaus Children's, of course, throughout Palm Beach County, down through Broward and Miami. And I'm looking forward to speaking again soon, all right?
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great.
That's Dr. Mark Mestre, the Senior VP, Chief Clinical Operations Officer for the Nicklaus Children's Health Systems. Colin Russo, our BDB Business of the Month, rolls on here, ESPN 106.3.